Hey guys, it's been a long time since I've done a proper speed paint video. I've also noticed that I've never really talked about my art process. It's not really great. I really don't recommend taking anything I say as advice simply because I'm a shitty artist. Mostly because it's a hobby, you know what I mean? Anyways, like it says in the title, I am drawing Astarion in my style. So, despite not being able to afford the game or have the software to play the game, because I don't have a computer that could handle pretty much anything beyond Tetris, you know what I mean? I haven't actually owned Baldur's Gate, but I've been obsessed with it, watching other people play it, watching lore videos, watching all that stuff, you know. And I'm also obsessed with a certain man who I am drawing today. Anyways, so here's how I normally translate other people's characters and people into my style. I know this is going to be really dumb, and most real artists will understand this already, but let me get into it. So what I normally do is I break down the face of a person into basic shapes so I can kind of translate into my style by finding a similar shape for their head. I feel like what really sells that the character is the same character is just getting roughly the same features. This is particularly easier to pull off when the character is more realistic because you're simplifying other features, but harder when you are adding features to a already simplified character. So this is what shapes I did for Astarion. I really just focused on trying to copy his eye shape, which he does have a bit of a almond, I'd say, eye shape. Obviously, I use this to gesture like their eye shape and stuff. And yes, his eye outlines is really thick, and it's only because it makes him look sassier. Because kind of like eyeliner. Normally, I don't draw men's eye lines that thick specifically, but I did it for Astarion for just personality reasons. And what you've probably also noticed is that the original color I used to fill in the skin is really dark for Astarion. Well, it looks dark because of how cartoonish he looks, even though I literally color sampled that from Astarion, his midtone. This is his midtone. But the thing is, he's called the Pale Elf, and he is a vampire. So if he is in a cartoon, and you probably noticed it with small animations made by Baldur's Gate for commercials, that they make him look extraordinarily pale. And that is because pale as in like a normal person and pale for a cartoon character are vastly different colors. So I wanted to take his midtone so that I have like the underlying color, which he's definitely got a rosy skin tone. And then I lightened it by literally lowering the opacity and then putting white underneath it. So when I put the background on the image, that it's not going to be just a transparent color underneath. And then you're also probably going to notice shortly after the whole skin tone thing that I struggled to find an eye color for him. And what I mean by eye color, I mean like the whites of the eyes. So other thing I learned throughout my art journey is never to like use pure white as the whites of the eyes. And the reason why is well, I use regular white as a highlight color on the eyes so that the eyes look glossy and alive, because I saw my old art and realized that my eyes look kind of dead and robotic. And even though my eye shines do make it look like one of those glass-eyed animatronics, FNAF poisoned me. It's really, I don't know. I think having the gloss in the eyes and then some texture for the skin, even if I, other than use block shading on the hair, you know, makes it look a lot better than the flat colors I normally use. But that's just my opinion, you know. Moving on to the next thing you probably noticed, I once again used a way darker color for the hair. And this leads into another thing I like to do. I like to avoid using pure white as much as possible, just because I think it gives it some flavor. My recommendations for not using a pure white is to use a grayish blue and then like lighten it really far, which is what I did here. or using a very light yellow, making a slight ivory color, because I think those are the most best off-white colors to use. But if you're feeling spicy, you can always use any other color off-white. But I just think for the off-whites that look the most white, bluish gray and yellow work the best. Those are all the tips that I feel comfortable giving out. Again, I don't feel like my art skills are more qualified enough to talk about any other tips I have, or my art process. You're probably wondering why I skipped to the coloring stage of my art process and didn't show you my sketching phase, and that's because my sketching phase is terrible. So what I basically, in the beginning, I hated digital sketching so much that I straight up only did it traditionally because I didn't feel like I was making any progress digitally, because I could just hit undo, so nothing felt like permanent enough for me to like sketch, which is weird because sketching is supposed to be not permanent, but I don't know, it was just a weird mental thing. But nowadays I can do digital sketching, but it looks so weird and lumpy and it's so awkward that I can't record it because it seems so awkward. I do a lot of erasing, deleting, and redrawing the same shape over and over and over and over and over again. And then erasing the lines underneath. And I do all my sketching in yellow, which is not good for video recording, by the way. Like, sketching in yellow makes it feel light enough that I feel comfortable deleting it. But like, obviously it's terrible if you're trying to record it, and I could use a different color, but every time I try sketching in a different color digitally, it just feels wrong. Honestly, this art piece isn't super serious because all I did was try to like get comfortable with drawing Astarion so that I can like draw him in other art pieces, and trying to get what he would look like in my style, so I don't have to draw hyper realistic Astarion, which would look terrible. I could try it for a video if you guys want me to try to draw something hyper realistic, but I warn you, I'm terrible, and I literally got failing grades whenever I had to do that in art class. So yeah. And as for why his whites of his eyes get darker in his angrier expression, I just thought it'd be cool if like when he's angry he looks more monstrous as a vampire. And I'm sorry I didn't finish my coloring process. I was going to like do the highlighting and doing that stage, but my recording software now makes it so I can't record up to past a certain amount of time without paying money now. So I'm gonna have to rip this into part 2 if you want to see the end of this drawing.